Hi guys, back with another video, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a story time. I'm talking to one of my Discord friends who won't mention, but they do follow my videos and they can let themselves know in the comments if they wish to. But we were talking about anxiety and anxiety attacks the other day, and it reminded me of one of my, in hindsight, funniest anxiety attacks I've ever had. Like, in public, and it was when I had to go to Her Majesty's passport office in London when I was first applying for my passport, and I was about 28 at the time, and it was really quite stressful filling in the application forms for it because it was asking details for my father and my mother, and it wanted like their birth certificates, their marriage certificates and stuff like that. So I had to do a lot of rooting around, and it turns out a lot of these documents from my dad were missing, so I had to reapply for them online and trace them down. And I couldn't actually answer anything about my mother because I hadn't spoken to her since I was 16 for various reasons, which I won't touch on in this video, but I might make another video explaining that. But to keep it short, I'll just say she was rather abusive, and at the age of 16 I felt I did not need to deal with that anymore. So yeah, it was because I hadn't spoken to her for so long, was unable to fill out a lot of her details, so I just had to kind of leave that mostly blank, which meant naturally when I handed in my application form that raised a red flag at their end, and they wanted to bring me in for a interview, basically just some questioning to make sure I am who I say I am, and general stuff like that, just to confirm my identity really. All sounds pretty straightforward, except I have social anxiety, which is part of my depression, and I don't do very well in those sort of situations. But I had to do it, so I went anyway. I was given the time of the day, went to London for it. So from Oxford, it's pretty travel to London is pretty easy. It was just get on the coach from Oxford, and it dropped me off at Victoria coach station, which was very short walk to the passport office from there. I got there quite early. Big burly security guards out there, being like, not allowed in until 10 minutes before your appointment, which is fine. Didn't explain it on the letter I had, but it's fine. So I went across the road to a cafe, had a coffee, had a pancake, waited till it was a bit nearer the time, went over there. Again, they were very sort of gruff, and it was like, why you want to get in the building? It's like, I've got an appointment. It's like, what time? It's like, this time, got the letter, showed them the letter, and was like, let me in. It's all quite intimidating. You know, they're like armed guards actually outside the building, which for my American viewers, armed police probably doesn't mean much, but in England you don't get armed police very often. So to be faced with two of them outside the building was quite intimidating for me. And then I get in, more armed policemen, pat me down, want me to remove belt, mobile phone, anything like that, go through a scanner, pretty much like it is at the airport. It's my first time I've encountered anything like that. I went through very timidly, very nervously, anxiety already pretty high at this point. I get directed upstairs to the sort of main office where they conduct the interviews, follow that up, get to the sort of reception counter, and the guy was like, well, what are you here for? And he's like, I'm here to apply for my first passport, here's my letter. And he's like, he looks at it and goes, oh no, we don't do first passport here, we only do second passports. And he meant it quite jokingly, and in hindsight it probably was quite obvious he was joking about it, but that was all it took, and I went into just full meltdown, like tears and panicking right in front of him. And the guy behind the counter was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, calm down, you're in the right place, it's fine. And it took me about 10 minutes to get me pretty calmed down again. It's funny now, but at the time it was, I think it might have been pretty horrific at the time. But anyway, we get me calmed down, get me sat there, I wait to get called through for my questioning, and one of the first questions is like, you're 28, why have you left it so long to apply for your passport? And then we both just sort of look at each other, and it's like, actually, yeah, you don't need to answer that. I think I understand why. It's like, yeah, that's kind of why I maybe haven't done this yet. But explain to him is like, there's the whole world out there, and I can't keep letting anxiety hold me back. I need to get out and see some of this world before I die. So he's like, it's fair enough. Then they obviously questioned me about my mother, and I had to explain that from a difficult relationship. I hadn't really spoken to her for so many years. Didn't want to open that can of worms just to get information from the passport. Here's the information I had last time I spoke to her, but I don't know how much of it is still true, but it's what I can give you. And I was like, it's fine, we understand that. Your passport will be in the post. And I was like, oh, is that it? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh. But that was pretty much it. It was just like 2 questions. Like, wanted to know why I hadn't applied for a passport sooner, and wanted a bit more background as to why I hadn't filled in my mother's information. So it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Didn't really need the major meltdown that it did at the time, but that's what anxiety is. It can go off, especially for me, it can go off for the most silliest of reasons, even no reason sometimes. So, yeah, wanted to share that little experience. It's like after my interview, I left the passport office, went back to Victoria coach station, grabbed KFC for the journey back home on the coach, and because it was about 4:30 by this point, so it was getting near. I knew I'll be getting near dinner time by the time I get back home, so I grabbed some KFC for the coach ride. It was actually undercooked KFC, so I won't be using Victoria Station again for that. But yeah, it was all pretty straightforward and no hassle really. Like, once you got through the armed guards, it was all rather pleasant. It's just getting through them. So yeah, that's my little story time that I wanted to share. I've been reminded of it thanks to my Discord friend there. So yeah,